इस तरह वो पीढ़ी है जो इस अत्यंत विवेक और काल पीढ़ी को स्टैंडर्ड करना करती है। जब वेस्टर्न कंट्री हम इस तरह में सभी का ब्रेक करने का करते हैं। इस ब्रेक के ऊपर टाइम से टू है जो कि ऑप्टिकल सर्विस टेस्ट में आप करते हैं। ये प्रगति का काम करते हैं। हमने किसी ग्राम के ताकि एक्टिव होता है तो ये टाइम हिट से एक ब्रेक इलेक्ट्रिक चेंज कर देते हैं और ये बट ऑडिटिंग के ताकि से हमारे ब्रेक और को जब किया जाता है इससे ब्रेक वर्क का आवाज होता है ये अर्थ आत्मा का पूर्ण प्रोसेस तो सिर्फ देखते हैं दिखता है लगता हर तरफ को करता ये एक स्पिरिट अच्छा जाता है एक्सटर्नल को ये अपने अपने ड्रग के जिस एक ड्रग पार्टीशन के लिए क्योंकि तीन हमारा एक ड्रग जो होती है फिर एक शुरू जाता है
इसको उसके बाद इस क्लिप से वो जो तार जा रही है उसमें उस पे लटकाया हुआ
तो और और ये कुछ क्या करता है मुश्किल हो जाता है तो ऐसे हम सिलेक्ट सिस्टम सिलेक्ट के पर जो अन्य क्लियर कर जाते हैं एक रिजल्ट आता है और हम प्रगति के से ये पर ये कुछ जाता है कि अजब से electrical pulses will transmit or drift now in electrical pulse को हम विद्युत काट रहे हैं विद्युत इंटरप्रेटेड साउंड हम एक बिजली से इस रस्ता और इस साउंड और अधिक और अधिक इंस्टिंक्टिवली सच की interesting
pick up is at mucosis button. तो मेरा बाइक लैपटॉप इस उनको एड है और ऐसे इस कुछ बटन लेकिन अबे बहुत जो और भी है नेक्स्ट कर ये अपने पास अच्छी एयर वाली और आगे भी मूव करवाता ये ब्रेक आता है और ये मॉलिक्यूल्स ये आगे एयर तुमको ब्रेक आती और इकट्ठे करते तार मॉलिक्यूल एयर वाइब्रेट करती एयर मॉलिक्यूल इस ब्रेक को हम सब बुलाते हैं और ये हमारा बहुत तो उसमें तो स्पार्क लेकिन ये जो इराक एक मॉलिक्यूल इस से म्यूजिक समझिए हम इकट्ठे अरे यार चल मतलब आर्टिस्ट सब करते हैं ताकि हम को ये जो तीन होते बात से हमने आप क्लियर बी ऐसा ऐसे क्लियर अंत वाला इसे हम कहते हैं नर्ड देखो सबसे पहली बात होती है बुलाते ये वाला इसे देख सकते हो जिस टच करते हो अब और के मम्मी डरती है अब इनाक्शन है इस साउंड करता है देता है इतनी अलग अब ऑन के पैनल जा हिट ये पर को देखो ये मैंने कर अलग लेकिन मैं गलत बनाएंगे। अब देख हम ड्रग इस आते हैं क्योंकि एक उनकी किन होता है कि वाली की तरह मतलब ये ड्रग पर एक एयर ये वाचन बल्कि मोशन ये पाइप कनेक्ट या तब मौजूद के अंदर अपडेट कर फिर हमको टाइप कर फिर ड्रम ये वाइब्रेट करने लगते हैं। अब ड्रम आउटर और क्लियर ब्रेड है तो अब बात है मिडिल की पार्ट। मिडिल होते हैं इंसान के से छोटी बोन्स तीन साथ में से के भी सही सीन पहले तो मैली देखो कस एपी और पास दिखा असल में क्या देखते हैं। देखो इन शिकार हम नाम देते हैं जिन्हें आकर पास पड़ जाते हैं। मैं बुला दूसरे तीसरे स्टेप अगर फुर्सत करोगे तो मेरा पूछोगे कि तुम क्या रखते जब देखता है तो उसके पास पाइप करने लगे फंक्शन हो गया कि अपने लेकिन पर ये कभी नहीं हो। देखो तुम ये करोगे यहाँ ऑपरेशन को इंक्रीज क्या सकते देखो ये लिखो एयर और की पे वापस एक क्विक अंदर करना एयर और दास यार लिखो बात कर काम वाला बेड एयर ब्रेड ऐसे खुद रकम अपने एयर ने हिलाते हो लेकिन करूँगा एक सुपर के क्या कोई मुश्किल है तो यहाँ पे लिख वाइब पाना यहाँ पे कई ऐसे उधर है और इकर हमारा बॉस एक ये देखो इस करती इसको हम ऐसे बात at that इसका क्या बहुत छोटा ईयर तो ट्रांसफर है ईयर टू पीर कॉन्ट्रेक्ट पर एक जब चर एक क्री प्रजा का देखो बात या हो जाए हो जाता है और आउट से बाहर देखो ये होता है और इस यहाँ पर तो प्लस कि होती सेटिंग्स ये मदद है बॉडी के बैलेंस कर तुम प्रयोग और डाल रहे हो तो तुम बहुत बैलेंस होता है क्यों वह ये सुनता है इसलिए मैं डील नहीं करता है मैं उनको मनती है पालन की एल देखे इस आदि पक क्या है तो एक के इस आठ फाइव रहे किंतु फाइव लेकिन वर्ड टू अरे नहीं अब तक आउट इस फाइन ये इस कॉप क्या देखो तेरा हम देख करता है अंदर ही फाइव मिला और फिर से एक कल ये उससे और एम आज है को से हो रेट ना ये इस होता कि मतलब अलग इस काउंट पार्ट इस काउंट है बस ये आते काउंट का है फ्री सब अब है अब ये सिंपल हम से नो ओ जरपा अब ये हमने अरे ना how he gets the great or people of color. I will like so yeah, which just break that us or someone but there was that moment on what
this for estimate. I just no right. First question is how many people are and speed. Now the question is the two or false. Yes, in the beautiful. Yes, this trip that I have to come for presenting the question what I want is the phone had to get safety. That is camp of melts. Now the question is what three parts is the deep question. Now exception. What the part that yes, the answer is in a in red, what sound was yes, after it no expression is not if yes, I said now next something for you for today enough for is present are but they meet the gaps. Now actions start here it's yes it the next hit the new as in your yes that's it here and or step now the last is 18 the it part the team yes we to It brought him the contribution to become Prime England Prime Minister as keyboard thickness in and 82 Article 24 Section 1 Constitution as Prime Minister at the couple of on all out that the British of condition was active for this as if the province of different in very cheap name to captivate the excess of the practice to India. So this India too. The planet is paid for furnished executive of some fact the fact of this decision that the planet so note that the facts that crack the of the outcome of to the kind of the mission as well at his best. The means that the first great commanders acted to out of the city, but it comes with respect, relation to his capital. Matters partner and the President of India. See how and third update. The matter selected by the majority the and the President of India. Not the electoral parties present the appointment of Captain what is not the action of issuing invitation to form the government. But what is more important or what really matters is that the party having majority in the parliament has to deal with the crucial issue in selecting its nominee. Now, in such a situation, the president is required to act very cautiously. He may either invite the leader of the political party having a majority in the parliament to form its government if he is absolutely sure that there is no other contestant within that party, or he may wait till the decision of the party in majority is intimated to him if he feels that a battle is likely to ensure insofar as a selection of the Prime Minister is concerned. Such an incident had happened when Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, who was the President of India, appointed Gujarilal Nanda as the officiating Prime Minister immediately after the death of Pandit Nehru. A new train has been saved thereafter that in case of a sudden vacancy of the post of the Prime Minister, the senior most member of the cabinet is usually appointed as the Prime Minister so long the decision or the final decision of the party is yet to be made. Such an incident had happened several times. An exception to the said pattern can also be noticed in the year 1984 when the then President of India, Gyani Zail Singh, appointed Rajiv Gandhi as the Prime Minister immediately after the assassination of Mrs. Indira Gandhi on the advice of the senior most cabinet ministers. Rajiv Gandhi, however, later on was
accepted by the party members for his Prime Minister candidature. Now, what is interesting to note here is that the language of Article 75, Section 1 of our Constitution is very inadequate. In fact, it simply says that the Prime Minister shall be appointed by the President. It says absolutely nothing so far as a discretionary authority of the head of the state is concerned, nor does it say anything so far as a Prime Minister, if he happens to be not a member of the Parliament. So it can be inferred from this particular provision of our Constitution that the President, at a time of emergency or an extraordinary situation, he may exercise his individual judgment in appointing the Prime Minister. Here it must be noted that the extraordinary situation implies that no political party is in a position to secure or exert their absolute majority in the Parliament. Now, it also can be inferred, an overall assessment of this particular provision of our Constitution clearly indicates that the President can appoint any person as the Prime Minister provided he fulfills two conditions. First of all, he has to have the support of majority behind him, and in case he is not a member of the Parliament, then he is required to secure a seat within next 6 months from the time of his appointment. And this has what happened in the case of Narasimha Rao when he was appointed as the Prime Minister of India. Now let us see the term of office of the Prime Minister. Generally, the Prime Minister stays in his or her office for a period of 5 years. That is from one general election till the next parliamentary election. Now, if the period of Lok Sabha is enhanced at an extraordinary situation, then it also indicates that the tenure of the Prime Minister will also be enhanced. But on the other hand, if the Lok Sabha is dissolved before the normal term of 5 years, then it also indicates that the term of the Prime Minister will immediately come to an end. So in other words, we can say that the term of the Prime Minister actually depends on the tenure of the Lok Sabha or the normal term of the Lok Sabha. Let us now assume the powers and functions of the Prime Minister. The powers and functions of the Prime Minister can be derived from two major sources. They are firstly the constitutional provisions which are assigned to the Council of Ministers along with the Prime Minister, and secondly from the norms and the conventions of a parliamentary democracy. Now, in order to understand the powers and functions of the Prime Minister, it is essential for us to examine the relation which the Prime Minister shares with that of the President of India, the Council of Ministers, the party that he belonged to, the Lok Sabha, and lastly and but not the least, the popular masses of our country. For our convenience, let us examine this relation in the following manner. The first of all, the relation that we need to take up in this respect is the relation between the Prime Minister and the President of India. By virtue of being the leader of the Council of Ministers, the Prime Minister is actually the chief advisor of the President of India. Though the administration of the entire country is carried out in the name of the President, but it is done so on the advice of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister not only advises the President so far as the Council of Ministers are concerned, but he also gives his advices with regard to important governmental appointments, like the appointments of the governors of different states, the appointment with regard to the Attorney General of India, Comptroller and Auditor General, Chief Election Commissioner, and so on. Even the decision to proclaim an emergency, which is usually being done by the President of India, but he does so only on the advice of the Prime Minister of India. The Prime Minister is basically the sole channel of communication between the President on one hand and the Council of Ministers on the other. The President may seek for the information or may ask for the day-to-day activities that are likely to take place within the administration of the country, and it is the responsibility of the Prime Minister to furnish him with all the necessary details of the administration to the President. In case of disagreement between the two, the President may even ask the Prime Minister to reconsider a particular proposals, provided that he has not done so earlier. Now let us examine the relation between the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers. The Prime Minister is the leader of the Council of Ministers. Article 74, Section 1 of our Constitution clearly states that he is to head the Council of Ministers. Hierarchically, he is being placed at the topmost position. Now, so far as the Council of Ministers are concerned, they are appointed by the President but on the advice of the Prime Minister. In fact, Article 75, Section 1 of our Constitution simply says that the Council of Ministers are to be appointed by the President on the advice of the Prime Minister. This indicates that so far as the selection of the ministers are concerned and the distribution of portfolios amongst them is concerned, it is the exclusive concern of the Prime Minister of India. Not only that, we find that sometimes the Prime Minister intends to build up his cabinet as the cabinet of all talents. This was being done by Pandit Nehru at the very initial stages immediately after the independence, when we find that he included several non-congressmen in his cabinet. Now, if the Prime Minister enjoys the prerogative of forming the Council of Ministers, then he has equal rights in reshuffling or redistributing the portfolios amongst them. In fact, the Prime Minister at several occasions make changes within the Council of Ministers. Not only that, if a particular minister forfeits confidence of the Prime Minister, then the Prime Minister may demand for his resignation. But if he declines to give his or her resignation, then he may even go to the extent to advising the President to dismiss him from the Council of Ministers. The Prime Minister is also eager to keep his or to retain his control over the department. In order to do so, he may bifurcate, even trifurcate a department and place it under the charge of different ministers. Let us see the relation which the Prime Minister shared with that of the party that he belonged to. The Prime Minister is the leader of the political party having a majority in the Lok Sabha is usually appointed as the Prime Minister of India. So the relationship between the party and the Prime Minister mutually interdependent on each other. The Prime Minister receives the electoral support or the political support from the party or the organization that he belongs to, and as against it, the party also demands that the aspirations of the made before the people on the eve of the election to be fulfilled. So when the party is providing him with the electoral support, as against it, it also demands that the Prime Minister would be in a position to give able and quality leadership. The Prime Minister plays a crucial role in retaining the fraternity and equality amongst the members within the party. In fact, being the leader of the party, it is his responsibility to retain his dignity as well as the image of the party both within the house and outside it. The personality of the Prime Minister, on the other hand, is also being projected by the party through print and electronic media. And such propagandas helped to create some sort of influence amongst the people in favor of the party. So the personality, dignity and popularity of the Prime Minister to a great extent are being taken up by the media to promote a particular political organization. The relationship between the Prime Minister and the party would remain incomplete if we do not take into account the relation which the Prime Minister shares with that of the President of the party. Both the President of the party and the Prime Minister seems to be some sort of complementing each other in theory, but in real practice it is not so. In fact, sometimes it has been found that the party president emerged as the kingmaker. So there are times when, or occasions when we find that the Prime Minister is the same person emerging or occupying a central position both within the government as well as within the party. A glaring example in this regard may be cited when Mrs. Gandhi took, at the time of Mrs. Gandhi, in her second phase of Prime Ministership. Now let us examine the relation between the Prime Minister and the Lok Sabha. By virtue of being the leader of the party having a majority in the Lok Sabha, the Prime Minister is also emerged as the leader of the House. As the leader of both the party commanding majority and also as the leader of the House, he appears to be the central figure in the parliamentary affairs. Now, the Prime Minister plays a significant role so far as the Lok Sabha is concerned. There are a number of functions that he has to perform. First of all, he has to make proposals for the date of summoning and proroguing session of the House. He also draws up the program of the official parliamentary affairs, for instance, with regard to the bills, motions, discussions, and so on. Though it is the President who dissolves the House, but he does so on the advice of the Prime Minister. Now, the President may abide by the decision of the Prime Minister provided that he fulfills two conditions. First of all, the Prime Minister should not be defeated minister within the Council of Ministers. Secondly, there is no possibility of a formation of an alternative ministry in this regard. As a leader of the House, the Prime Minister not only represents his own party, but he is also required to act more responsibly towards the opposition. In fact, being leader of the House, he is required or he is expected to listen to the demands of the opposition bench and tries to concede their demands as far as possible. Finally, we take up the relation with the Prime Minister shared with that of the people. The Prime Minister is not only the leader of the party, he is not only the leader of the Lok Sabha, but at the same time he is also the leader of the masses. It is his responsibility to read the public mind and change it up to command it accordingly in its favor, and who on their part depends to a great extent on the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister shares intimate relation with the people since it is on their electoral support that he came to that position, but his image to a great extent helped not only his organization but even his future existence within the political system. Through print and electronic media, the image of the Prime Minister is actually present before the people, which helped to create an image of Prime Minister amongst the masses. Now, the way the Prime Minister delivered his public speeches, his public appearances, attire, even his dress code one state that the recent years the dress code of the Prime Minister may, when a particular dress of a Prime Minister is given, popularized by the name of the Prime Minister. Again, we find that these things are important in the sense that it helps to build up an image of the Prime Minister. It is the responsibility of the Prime Minister to make the people aware of the government policies and programs and popularize them through the media. Even at the time of economic political crisis, the Prime Minister delivered public speeches. This is done so that people are not panic-stricken and they feel comfortable that the governmental intervention is being made to resolve a crisis. So far as the powers and functions of the Prime Minister is concerned, we can say that the Prime Minister has a tremendous amount of authority in the political system. Let's now examine the position of the Prime Minister. Prime Minister occupies a significant position in the political system of India. It is being argued that the position of the Prime Minister has enhanced with the centralization of bureaucracy, since it is being placed under his command. Not in anywhere to the extent of the Indian political system as Prime Ministerial government. However, despite this non-powers which Prime Minister enjoys, yet we find that in Prime Minister can convert himself into a dictator due to several constitutional and political application. There are several factors which are the powers of Prime Minister. First of all, the public opinion happens to be one of the important factors which to a great extent control the authority of the Prime Minister. Prime Minister to a great extent has to depend on the feedback of people so far as his policy and programs are concerned. Secondly, these relational groups and pressure groups in order to fulfill the demand expectations on Prime Minister, which in way strengthen his position. I find that opposition and media severely criticizes the progress and policies of the government, and to do so they actually propose a check and balances for the powers of Prime Minister is concerned. Finally, since 90s with the aid of virtualists, we find the regional political power as unprovided to check upon the power of the Prime Minister. But despite this limitations to conclude, we can say that the Prime Minister, the powers of the Prime Minister is constrained with the political situation. Along with the political situation, much depends on personal equation of the holder of office. In fact, if the Prime Minister is able to establish his legitimacy over the institutional power structure, and he is positioned to exert more powers than what who the structure is on point restricted within the legal and constitutional structure of the political system. Thank you.
I Dr. Mathematics, Smart PG did with business ground of mathematics. Before this we'll discuss and its point of view. We are not statistics and everything on it covering. Other both keep at school but it makes mathematics a good. Also, good. If to be that is effects, certainly acted is that was Z hard we all know the characteristic we have as not with degree and we all know what we characteristic of normal code is जो polynomial है and that next this about middle polynomial अब polynomial को मिनिमम मतलब है हम ऐसा मिलकर करते जितना that is legal अब सिर्फ छोटे देगा even not solid less degree polynomial and minimum data or subject polynomial this part that is क्या है What
This means A minus lambda I into QA plus RI is equals to 0. अब इस टर्म को उधर ले जाएं तो मतलब क्या बन जाएगा? This is equals to minus of R. Since R is non-zero तो हम minus R से डिवीजन कर सकते हैं. So we can write it as A minus lambda I into minus 1 by R Q times A. Q of A is equals to identity matrix. फाइन. इसका मतलब इन दोनों मैट्रिक्स का प्रोडक्ट आइडेंटिटी के इक्वल है. इट मींस इस मैट्रिक्स का इनवर्स एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है और जिन मैट्रिसेस का इनवर्स एग्जिस्ट करता है वो मैट्रिसेस क्या होती हैं? नॉन सिंगुलर. नॉन सिंगुलर मतलब इनका डिटर्मिनेंट क्या होगा? नॉन जीरो. और अगर इसका डिटर्मिनेंट नॉन जीरो है तो लैम्डा इस कैरेक्टरिस्टिक इक्वेशन का रूट नहीं हो सकता. क्यों? अगर लैम्डा कैरेक्टरिस्टिक इक्वेशन का रूट है तो डिटर्मिनेंट ऑफ ए माइनस लैम्डा किसके इक्वल होना चाहिए? जीरो के इक्वल. इसका मतलब ये मैट्रिक्स क्या होना चाहिए? सिंगुलर. बट हमारे पास क्या आया? इट इज नॉन सिंगुलर. इट मीन्स जो हमने सपोज किया था दैट इज रॉन्ग. हमने क्या सपोज किया था कि आर एक्स इज नॉट इक्वल टू जीरो. ये पॉसिबल नहीं है. और अगर ये पॉसिबल नहीं है तो इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? आर एक्स मस्ट बी इक्वल टू जीरो. और अगर आर एक्स जीरो हो गया तो वहां से क्या आया कि लैम्डा इज रूट ऑफ मिनिमल पॉलिनोमियल ऑल्सो. फाइन. तो इसका मतलब जो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक इक्वेशन के डिस्टिंक्ट रूट्स होंगे. डिस्टिंक्ट का मतलब डिफरेंट रूट्स. लाइक कई बार हम कैरेक्टरिस्टिक इक्वेशन के रूट्स निकालते हैं तो वो इस टाइप से आते हैं. सपोज 2 to 8 तो इसमें डिस्टिंक्ट रूट्स कौन से हुए? 2 and 8. राइट. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि अगर कैरेक्टरिस्टिक इक्वेशन के रूट्स 2 to 8 हैं तो मिनिमल इक्वेशन के भी रूट्स 2 to 8 होंगे. हमने कौन से रूट्स की बात की है? डिस्टिंक्ट रूट्स की. यानी कि अगर ये कैरेक्टरिस्टिक इक्वेशन के रूट्स हैं तो मिनिमल इक्वेशन के ये दो रूट्स तो जरूर होंगे. और ये रिजल्ट हम क्वेश्चन में भी यूज करेंगे. फाइन. तो अब इन रिजल्ट से हमें एक चीज पता लग गई. पहली चीज कि हर एक मैट्रिक्स जो है वो कैले-हैमिल्टन थ्योरम कहती है कि वो अपनी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक इक्वेशन को सेटिस्फाई करे. इसका मतलब मिनिमल पॉलिनोमियल या मिनिमल इक्वेशन की जो डिग्री है वो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक इक्वेशन की डिग्री से ज्यादा नहीं हो सकती. दैट मस्ट बी लेस देन और इक्वल टू डिग्री ऑफ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक पॉलिनोमियल और कैरेक्टरिस्टिक इक्वेशन. राइट. सेकेंड थिंग इज जो रूट्स कैरेक्टरिस्टिक इक्वेशन से आए आपके पास उनमें से जो डिस्टिंक्ट रूट्स हैं वो मिनिमल इक्वेशन के ही रूट्स होंगे. ये दोनों चीजें हम क्वेश्चन में यूज करेंगे. फाइन. Let's take an example. Now we have to show that the matrix A is non-derogatory. कोई भी मैट्रिक्स नॉन डेरोगेटरी डेरोगेटरी किस पे डिपेंड करता है? उस मैट्रिक्स के मिनिमल पॉलिनोमियल पे. तो हमें इसको डेरोगेटरी या नॉन डेरोगेटरी चेक करने के लिए क्या करना है? पहले इसका मिनिमल पॉलिनोमियल निकालना है और फिर चेक करना है कि क्या उस मिनिमल पॉलिनोमियल की डिग्री इस मैट्रिक्स के ऑर्डर के इक्वल है या उससे लेसर है. और नॉन डेरोगेटरी के लिए क्या चाहिए कि मिनिमल पॉलिनोमियल की डिग्री इस मैट्रिक्स के ऑर्डर के क्या होनी चाहिए? इक्वल. और इसका ऑर्डर कितना है? 3. तो वी हैव टू प्रूव that degree of minimal degree polynomial of this matrix should be equal to 3. अगर ये 3 शो कर दिया तो मैट्रिक्स क्या बनेगी? नॉन डेरिवेटिव. अब मिनिमल पॉलिनोमियल कैसे निकालते हैं? क्या क्या रिजल्ट्स किए थे कि मिनिमल पॉलिनोमियल की जो डिग्री होगी वो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक पॉलिनोमियल की डिग्री से क्या होगी? या तो लेसर या उसके इक्वल. एंड रूट्स ऑफ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक पॉलिनोमियल, डिस्टिंक्ट रूट्स ऑफ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक पॉलिनोमियल आर द डिस्टिंक्ट रूट्स ऑफ मिनिमल पॉलिनोमियल. तो इसलिए फर्स्ट स्टेप हम क्या करेंगे? We will find out characteristic equation. सबसे पहले हम characteristic equation निकालेंगे, फिर उसके रूट्स निकालेंगे और जो characteristic equation होंगे उनमें से जो डिस्टिंक्ट रूट्स होंगे उन रूट्स से फैक्टर्स बना के एक पॉलिनोमियल बनाएंगे एंड उस पॉलिनोमियल को चेक करेंगे कि वो मिनिमल पॉलिनोमियल है या नहीं। फाइन, अगर वो मिनिमल पॉलिनोमियल हुआ, मिनिमल पॉलिनोमियल कब होगा, अगर उसको ये मैट्रिक्स क्या करेगी, सेटिस्फाई। अगर मैट्रिक्स सेटिस्फाई करेगी तो वही मिनिमल पॉलिनोमियल हो जाएगा, और अगर मैट्रिक्स सेटिस्फाई नहीं की तो फिर हम आगे फर्दर और काम करेंगे। कैसे, जो इसमें रूट्स डबल रिपीट होंगे या डबल या ट्रिपल टाइम रिपीट होंगे उसके अकॉर्डिंग हम डिग्री मिनिमल पॉलिनोमियल की इंक्रीज करेंगे। It will be clear to you when we'll solve this problem. Fine. So first step is find out the characteristic equation. Characteristic equation क्या होती है, determinant of a minus lambda I equal to 0. So first of all, what is your determinant of a minus lambda I? This is equals to 2 minus lambda 3 4 0 2 minus lambda minus 1 0 0 1 minus lambda. फाइन, अब हमने एक रिजल्ट किया था कि अगर कोई मैट्रिक्स अपर ट्रायंगुलर है या लोअर ट्रायंगुलर है तो उस मैट्रिक्स का डिटर्मिनेंट क्या होता है, दैट इज इक्वल्स टू प्रोडक्ट ऑफ डायगोनल एंट्रीज। सो इसका मतलब इसका डिटर्मिनेंट क्या आएगा, 2 minus lambda 2 minus lambda into 1 minus lambda. Right? So this is your characteristic polynomial. Put this equal to 0, it will become characteristic equation. So what are the roots of this equation? Directly यहाँ से वैल्यूज आ रही है, लैम्डा की कौन कौन सी वैल्यूज आ रही है, 2 2 and 1. So now what are the distinct roots of this characteristic equation? 1 and 2. इसका मतलब जो हम पॉलिनोमियल बनाएंगे, लैम्डा में पॉलिनोमियल बनाएं, राइट, यू कैन मेक इट x, यू कैन मेक इट लैम्डा, किसी भी वेरिएबल में बना सकते हो। कौन से डिस्टिंक्ट रूट्स है, 1 and 2, तो उनके कॉरेस्पॉन्डिंग वी विल मेक द फैक्टर्स लैम्डा माइनस 1 एंड लैम्डा माइनस 2। दो रूट्स है 1 और 2, तो लैम्डा माइनस द फर्स्ट रूट इनटू लैम्डा माइनस द सेकंड रूट। राइट, अब इनको अगर मैं मल्टीप्लाई कर लूं तो व्हाट आई विल गेट, लैम्डा स्क्वायर माइनस 2 लैम्डा माइनस लैम्डा प्लस 2. So what we get, this is lambda square minus 3 lambda plus 2. Now we have to check whether this polynomial is the minimal polynomial of this matrix or not. वो कब होगा minimal, पहली कंडीशन कि इसका लीडिंग कोएफिशिएंट यूनिटी होना चाहिए, वो है। फाइन, एंड सेकेंड इज सबसे छोटी डिग्री का ऐसा पॉलिनोमियल होना चाहिए जिसको मैट्रिक्स का करती हो सेटिस्फाई। फाइन, इसको तो करती है, क्यों, क्योंकि ये कैरेक्टरिस्टिक इक्वेशन है, कैलिन-मिल्टन थ्योरम कहती है कि मैट्रिक्स इसको सेटिस्फाई करेगी। अब हमें ये चेक करना है कि इसको मैट्रिक्स सेटिस्फाई करती है या नहीं। अब ये इससे छोटी डिग्री पे हम क्यों नहीं जा सकते, क्योंकि हमें पता है कि जो कैरेक्टरिस्टिक इक्वेशन के डिस्टिंक्ट रूट्स हैं वो मिनिमल पॉलिनोमियल में भी डिस्टिंक्ट रूट्स होंगे ही होंगे, तो हम इनमें से एक फैक्टर नहीं ले सकते, हमें दोनों फैक्टर्स लेना जरूरी है। तो हमने सबसे छोटी डिग्री से ही स्टार्ट किया है जो कम से कम मिनिमल पॉलिनोमियल हो सकती है। नॉट श्योर कि ये है या नहीं, वो हम मैट्रिक्स सब्स्टिट्यूट करके ही चेक करेंगे। फाइन, तो अब इसमें हम लैम्डा की जगह पे क्या पुट कर देते हैं, a, इट मींस क्या आएगा, a स्क्वायर माइनस 3a प्लस 2i. नाउ वी हैव टू चेक वेदर दिस इज इक्वल टू 0 और नॉट। तो उसके लिए हमें क्या निकालना है, a स्क्वायर, a स्क्वायर मतलब a into a. फाइन, what is your a, 2 3 4 0 2 minus 1 0 0 1. So we have to multiply this matrix with itself. What will you get? If I multiply first row with first column, what I will get, 2 into 2 4, बाकी दोनों 0 से मल्टीप्लाई आ जाएगा, so it will be 4. Then first row with second column is 2 into 3 is 6 plus 6, 0 से मल्टीप्लाई होगा तो 0, इट मींस टोटल वैल्यू क्या है, 12. नेक्स्ट इज इसको हम थर्ड कॉलम से मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे, 8 minus 3 plus 4, so it is 12 minus 3 which is equals to 9. Fine, now we multiply this row with this column, 0 into 0 2 is 0, 2 into 0 is 0 minus 1 into 0 is 0, so the value is 0. नेक्स्ट इसको अगर हम सेकंड कॉलम से मल्टीप्लाई करें, 0 into 3 is 0 plus 2 into 2 is 4 plus minus 1 into 0 is 0, so value is 4 only. नेक्स्ट इसको अगर हम थर्ड कॉलम से मल्टीप्लाई करें तो 0 4 से मल्टीप्लाई तो 0, 2 into -1 is -2, -1 into 1 is -1, so value is -3. Now multiply this with this, 0 into 2 is 0, 0 into 0 is 0, 1 into 0 is 0. अब इसको हम सेकंड कॉलम से मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे, यू कैन सी इट इज आल्सो 0 बिकॉज डिफरेंट प्लेसेस से 0 है, मल्टीप्लाई करोगे तो टोटल वैल्यू क्या आएगी 0. अब इसको हम थर्ड कॉलम से मल्टीप्लाई करें तो 0 into 4 is 0, 0 into -1 is 0, 1 into 1 is 1. Fine, you can easily multiply these two matrices and you will get this. Now substitute